And welcome to another live session. This is Speak on Stage, live on LinkedIn, and we're going to be covering an incredible subject, which I think has relevance to everybody: how to live life as your fearless, authentic, true self. We'll be getting a cast of thousands, or more likely about 15, to come and join us and share their thoughts on all this. And I'd love to know what you think as well. It's recorded as always and broadcast later, but you can still leave your comments. And I do promise, my fingers aren't crossed, that I will look at everything and still comment. As long as you contribute, I will contribute back. Meanwhile, here we go. This is Speak on Stage. All right, then, Debbie, let's press the buttons and go live. Are we good? I'll tell you that as a yes.
Yes.
There we go. Fantastic. Right then, so for everybody what I love about doing this session is that as soon as we go live, one or two people just pop up, which means that they're actually waiting to join us, which I think is fantastic. Because otherwise it's like standing in the middle of a shopping mall and saying, you're trying to sell something. Who wants fish? Who wants fruit? We've got some lovely bananas for everybody. You wouldn't say that without the police arresting you. But it's nice to know that when we do this broadcast, we get people who come and join us. And so thank you to Mohammed for being first in the audience. And joining us on stage again, Debbie Gray. Where have you been, Debbie? What's your excuse this time, apart from obviously getting on with life and you didn't need me in it?
My sincere apologies. Yeah, it feels like forever, but I've only missed 2 weeks, if I'm honest.
Well, you can be honest, because I was there and I know which ones you missed. But did you have a good time? Because you're going off to concerts and stuff like that, weren't you?
I had a spiritual event that I had to participate in, as I was very much drawn to it, and I celebrated my birthday last week.
Wow, congratulations. 21 again.
Yes, with a lot of experience to that 21 years. Yeah, so thank you.
Here's a question, right? So when you're female, do you tell people how old you are or do you not? Now, as a bloke, it's kind of like boasting a bit to say, I'm 56, I've got nothing to hide, because I have nothing to hide. Might be because I'm happily married, it might be because I'm over the hill, I don't know. But I'm happy to tell people. Is it the same for females? Because in Hollywood, age is super, super conscious. These creepy movies, if you look at them now from the 80s, like Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones in, I think it was called Entrapment, where he was a thief. Yeah. And she was like 40 years or 30 years younger than him, and it was a romantic relationship. And it's just like, oh, no. And you look back at it just now and you go, that was horrible. But at the time, it was kind of like just made sense. He's a big star, hot chick, done. What do you think of telling people your age, or do you keep it stum?
I have no issue with it. I do know that a lot of women prefer not to share their age, but yeah, I turned 50 last week Saturday, and I'm chuffed.
Congratulations!
I'm chuffed that I got to that landmark. It for me, it's a huge thing. So yeah, so I'm celebrating it. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. I remember turning 50. Well, I don't actually remember much about turning 50. I remember it was very blurry, which explains what my 50th birthday was like. And at 56, I'm got a lot closer to reaching 60. And what's really weird is I expected at 60 to kind of be dodding around and talking rubbish and waiting, just living life between bathrooms. And it's about right. I didn't realize I'd be so aware of it.
No. So as everybody kept telling me last Saturday, 50 is the new 30.
Yep.
And let's face it, we're getting younger and younger as we age these days. We don't have to stop doing what we're doing. If anything, it just gives us a new perspective and new wisdom. We can do anything and everything.
I truly believe that. I really believe that. Well, before we start, we've got Mohammed and Dr. Kazi in the room. What I suggest is for the four of us to share that we're broadcasting live. All you need to do is go to the post, and on the post itself, it's got a bit where it says share. And if you press the button share, it says repost to feed, and it just has a built-in message to let everybody know to come and join us on the session. So if you post that and let everybody know that we're here, and invite any friends that you want as well, that means we should have a great amount of people come out to play. Normally we get get about 15 to 20 people in the room over the hour. But what happens is, depending on how we make an impact at the very beginning, we can end up with everybody coming at the end where they go, oh, we're still doing it. I'll come and join you. Or they join us from the beginning and contribute to lots of interesting conversations, which is what we really want, because otherwise it becomes the Debbie and Dave show, which is nothing wrong with that at all. We'd love to hear what other people think, because otherwise we could go down some weird route on conversation, which, to be honest with you, we really want to know what's happening around the world. And it's a really incredible phenomenon that what we've got is we normally have people from, I would suggest, maybe 10 plus different countries, normally US, UK, Pakistan, India, or UAE. I'm running out of countries, but certainly we get
Ireland.
Ireland. Oh yes, we get a lot of Ireland. Scotland. We get a lot of people joining in, and people might turn around and say, yes, but England, Ireland, and Scotland are Britain. Don't tell that to everybody who's there. They might not believe you. Well, they might. Anyway, let's not go there. So let's see if we can invite some people in for this. Today's subject, well, in the Turbocharge Your Brand group, which we have on WhatsApp, we've been spending the week talking about how to become friends with people. And we've had a really interactive and interesting group of people who've contributed, sharing who they are, what they do, sometimes telling you a little bit too much information that most people wouldn't be comfortable for. But I think that people tell you stuff because they feel comfortable in an inclusive way to be able to share it. But loads of people haven't said anything. It's either because they're busy or they're not quite ready to, or maybe they don't think that what they talk about is something they want to have in public, or they're getting their heads around it. And so what I wanted to do with today's session is to work out who you really are and how you feel comfortable in your own skin. Does that... Excuse me. Must remember to press the mute button before I sneeze next time. Does that make sense to you, Debbie?
Bless you. It makes sense. However, saying that, I have actually had some private messages on the group, which have been really great, getting to know people that have been facing their own challenges and who felt that they resonated with what I'd put as my initial intro. So I have been talking to people off the group that haven't actually participated on the group.
That's what I was hoping would happen, to be honest with you. I didn't tell people to do that because I didn't want to invite people to start spamming each other about their company and really sort of like annoying everybody. But I wanted it to be that some people might not want to bring it in public, but suddenly you do pop up and people resonate with you. So mission kind of accomplished. The fact that I don't know about it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It means that it is working.
It's definitely working. It's definitely working. I've made a beautiful connection with a lady on the group that... yeah, we're on the same wavelength. So as far as I'm concerned, it's an experiment that's been successful.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. One of the things that I find fascinating whenever I talk to somebody is it's really difficult for people to work out what's of relevance and what's not of relevance to others when they start talking, because everyone's so close to their own world that it's difficult to say what are the relevant translatable bits that everyone can buy into and what are the bits that are just for you. And I think what happens, especially right now, is politics has driven more than ever before in my lifetime, people to think that what's personal for them must be right for everybody else or they're wrong. And that's not the case. There's loads of people who are polar opposites to me in politics, but are really nice, genuine people, just don't bring up the subject of politics and you get along fine. You know, I'm really surprised by how many of my friends don't buy into the same everything as me, but they do anything for me and vice versa. What's your thoughts on that, Debbie?
To be honest, I think that friendship is often misconstrued. I mean, I tell my kids that you can have multiple friendships that appeal to different parts of your life and different stages when you're ready for them. So yeah, friendship can come in multiple ways. You can contact somebody, you can get along with them. However, I would recommend, as LinkedIn is becoming really, really bad for sales pitches. It's ridiculous. People aren't reaching out because they want to connect. People are reaching out because they see you as their target, as their victim, is how it feels. Yeah, we need some more authenticity and more love back into LinkedIn, is my honest opinion.
I don't see how that happens, to be honest with you. I think that the biggest challenge for any platform is whether they're driven by making money or they're driven by making connection. LinkedIn was brilliant before because it was just driven by connection. So therefore, you could make money out of it and you could have a lot of fun and connect with lots of people, which is really good. But at the same time, you could just say who you are and what you do. It's like, for instance, you may or may have not noticed, but in the middle of a week, the entire world shut down because the internet went down, which is the most ridiculous thing ever. You say, well, how could the internet go down? What actually happened is Microsoft crashed because CrowdStrike, which is an app that's a cybersecurity app, crashed badly with an input. And so as a result of that, governments, banks, airlines, countries came to a halt purely because of that one factor. Now, here's what was really strange. I read it about an hour ago because we may turn around and say, well, they should have checked it properly. Well, they should have checked it properly. And who are they accountable to? Only the people who are on Microsoft, because it was Microsoft's client, I believe, that actually did it. But about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, another brand, I won't say which one it was, starts with an A, starts with an M, sort of like McAfee sounding brand, crashed and did a similar thing 12 years ago, worldwide, taking out millions of users. Guess who's got the same CEO that used to be at McAfee and now is working at CrowdStrike? Now, here's the question I throw up, and I'm sure he's not listening, and if he did sue me, then I'll take it on the chin. I'm sure he's not that rich, but he is. The question is, do you drive a company to be the best in the world so everyone buys into it? Or do you drive a culture where everybody believes it's important to get everyone across the finishing line together? Because if you're just going to be looking at the return on investment and the shareholders and the money that comes in, then you're not going to be thinking necessarily about the actual culture. So some people will just get the job over and done with. Whereas if everybody's there supporting each other, which is what leadership should be, this kind of thing should never, ever happen. Now, that's my soapbox. I'm not talking politics, just thinking about how it's important to be able to be connected and also to make sure that you are thinking about other people as well. And in the workforce and the workplace, I think that's a really important thing. Debs, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, that goes back to being authentic, being true. But the reality in this day and age, most people are thinking about money. Most people are thinking about their own pockets, and they're not thinking about the value that they're giving to the person that they're engaging with. Whereas if you have a mindset that no matter who you engage with, they're going to leave better for having engaged with you, then as far as I'm concerned, you're ticking all the boxes. Whether that's in your personal or business life, you're ticking all the boxes.
That's true. Dr. Q keeps mentioning comments inside the WhatsApp group, which is fantastic. But I'd love you, Dr. Q, just to give comments inside the comment section on this post. That way, all the things that are super relevant, everyone else is going to be able to contribute and mention to as well. So that's really good to have you there. Right now, we've got Dr. Q, we've got Bill, we've got Gerald, and we've got Leslie, and of course, myself and Debbie here on the stage. We're always open to other people to come and join us on stage and share their thoughts and ideas. Today's subject is how to live life as your fearless, authentic self, true self. And that's a huge issue for many people because one of the things is, especially in the world of social media, one of the reasons that I can't skim through, and I get told off all the time by my wife Aziza for not going on social media enough and not seeing what the conversations are and the trends are, is because I don't care enough about reading about other people's wow stories when all you've got is a sea of it. Because it doesn't matter how successful you are, at some point you're going to think, wow, my life's really rubbish and all these people are doing amazing things. And it's not from a point of view you don't wish them well, it's just it does kind of have an impact on you when you reflect on what's going on in your life. So I don't really want to be bombarded by smiling faces and holding up trophies and this, because it's on 24/7 all the time. There is a reason which I mentioned for this before, which is the fact that on LinkedIn, which is now becoming like TikTok, or it's coming like Instagram and so on, it's more like a beauty pageant than actually a connection space, I guess, in my opinion. What happens is people tend to go on there to see what's going on, but all they get is everyone at their very best. And on your birthday, you're at your very best because you can say it's my birthday, and people say, "Well done." And we got a new job. That's true as well. And when you've just achieved some kind of goal or something, that's good as well. But if everybody's doing it at the same time, if you're not ready to join in and you haven't got something equal to that, it can be really kind of like detrimental to your own ego and your own mental health to think that the whole world's doing well and you're not. The world's never like that. Everybody has it easy. Everyone has it terrible all the time. So it's just getting that balance. And social media, unfortunately, seems to be antisocial because it misses that point. So that's one of the things I like about this group is you can actually just contribute and talk and share what's going on, and nobody's going to judge you. They're just going to be interested in getting new solutions, and you've got some incredible people who are going to brainstorm on your behalf. If ooh,
Yeah.
I sneezed. I missed most of it because I pressed the mute button just in time. I'm so pleased with my sad little self. Most people are here just to kind of contribute and help. Debs, your thoughts on that? And also to the group, if you'd like to join us on stage and share something, remember the normal rules of this, which is don't go on forever about who you are, blah, 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 blah. You can say briefly what your situation is, talk about what the group should be talking about, and then we'll get the group to talk about it because we want to get through as many people as we can do in the 45 minutes or so that we've got less left. So that's kind of important. Sorry, Debs, I interrupted you.
No, 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 no. Firstly, bless you. But what I was going to say is there's a gentleman in the crowd, Gerald O'Dowd. So if you talk about a living an authentic, true version of yourself, this gentleman for me ticks all the boxes. And he has just created a retreat for October, which he's got me involved in. So, yeah, and all to do with mental health and looking after oneself and being authentic and healing.
Let's have some of that. Gerald, do you want to join us on stage and let us know more about that? Without doing a huge, massive plug, just talk about the overview of why you're doing it and what the importance and impact and benefits are for us to make a better world. Leslie Flowers has just joined us on stage. Hello, Leslie. Obviously, this subject resonates with you. What would you like to contribute? And that's a very nice hat in your picture, by the way. Very nice, red hat and red gear. You're like dead.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Dave, and those who are listening. So, here's a contribution: is do we ever actually become authentic, or is it something that we aspire to all our lives? Do we ever actually arrive at being fully authentic? And I can tell you pretty much I'm at 94% if I had to gauge with a very long life, and that I will never be 100% authentic because I'm human and there will always be an interrupt. That's just it. I know people, are looking to be their authentic self. But I just wonder if it's really a place we arrive or whether it's a constant aspiration. And I'll drop that there. Um, and I hope that inspires a couple of ideas.
I love
Thank you.
that. Thank you, Leslie.
May I?
Yeah, I think if you jump in first, and I'll jump in afterwards. Over to you, Debbie.
Okay, yeah, Leslie, that to me that's brilliant because I honestly think that we're continually evolving. My view is that whenever we think that we've reached our true authentic self, it then expands us to the next level and the next version of ourselves, which is why we keep having to adapt and we keep growing. That is my view on it because life really is about expansion and experiences and having fun. So we're going to keep evolving with that evolution.
Absolutely. Absolutely. David, did anything come up for
You
you?
can't call me David. My mum calls me David. I'm going to spend 3 weeks with my mum in the UK starting from Tuesday. So just give me a break and call me Dave. That wasn't Freudian. So here's my thoughts on it. I think that you can find your authentic self, but I think your authentic self is a work in motion. And you keep changing all the time. The person you are today is different from the person you'll be at the end of the day, and that's different from the person you are tomorrow. And you can alter. So anybody who says my life is always like this, that's only because you allow yourself to do the same thing again every time, expecting to have a different result, which is what Alcoholics Anonymous talk about you shouldn't do. But it's really important to know that whoever you are, whatever you think of yourself, a reflection of that is what the rest of the world is going to see. So if the rest of the world doesn't like you, but you're happy in your own skin, then that's their tough luck for not buying into you. But it does mean that maybe what you need to do is you need to get a better version. I say better, that's not fair. To find a more engaging version.
Adaptable.
Practical version might be the best way to say it, that other people can buy into as well. And so one of the best ways to do that is to look at what the Wi-Fi code is of your audience or the people that you want to connect to, and find out what they would want to get from you. What would you say? What would you do? How would you act to benefit them? If you can get that about right, and it doesn't have to be huge, it just has to be that like two magnets are able to be attracted to each other on a level where you can both touch base and feel comfortable, and look to the outside of your conversation as well as looking at each other. So, for instance, the friends that I've had for like 40 odd years, even longer, from school, we don't necessarily agree on tons of things, but I trust them 100% to look after my family if push came to shove. I trust them 100% to get the next drink in when it's their turn. I also know that if I'm having a bad day, I can talk to them, they'll listen to me, they'll give me their thoughts on what it is based on what they want me to be able to feel like afterwards, which is better. That's what they do it for. And so I remember years and years, I mean, in fact, most of the time I can think of that I had friends with girlfriends or wives. I might not have liked them, but I appreciate that my friends like them, and so my job was to make sure that they had a happy relationship until my friend called it a day, or they called it a day, in which case then my job is to pick up the slack. It's not to make a judgment on their particular choice of partner unless that type of person is constantly destroying their life and they need some help and they ask me, I'll reach out. So I think half the time what we have to do is consider the other person rather than our own needs. But you can actually walk away when somebody's toxic, when somebody hurts you, when somebody doesn't understand it, when somebody actually may not realize that they're damaging you or don't even care. Maybe sometimes you need to have some distance between them. But otherwise, what can happen is I can't think of anything worse than living a life that hasn't been authentic to me. And that means sometimes always constantly learning, constantly asking questions, but sometimes being a grumpy old fart. Because as you get older, that does happen. And I don't want to learn tons of new stuff, just stuff that's relevant to me. And so I think that being happy in your own skin is probably from my point of view, the most important part of what we're doing in today's exercise. Love to know your thoughts on that. Feel free to leave them in the comments, by the way, as you're doing. But if you want to jump up on stage with myself and Debbie and Leslie, who's here at the moment, then feel free to do so. And Gerald, I'm waiting for you to tell us about this retreat that you're doing. Otherwise, Debbie's going to tell us, and you're going to say, Debbie, you didn't mention that. And she'll say, well, you didn't come on stage, did you?
Actually, he's he's probably just a little bit shy. So yeah, no, I am happy to. But first, I will touch on all that you just said. I think when we're more authentic is when we attract our tribe. We attract the people that we're comfortable to be expressive around. And like I said, we have friends for multiple reasons and seasons. That's the same with those that we engage with. You don't have to be with the same people throughout your journey. It can keep evolving depending on what stage you're at. I actually listened to something yesterday with Tyler Perry where he spoke about, yes, people being there for seasons, but then there's also people there that are like boosters. If you look at a rocket that has its boosters, as you accelerate to space, the boosters then drop off because you've built up the momentum and it's then going to continue and they become a weight. People can also be related to being boosters. They're there to get you to a certain point, but it doesn't mean that they have to be there for the entire journey.
That is so true because as we evolve as well, and as we change, and some things we like and some things we don't like, we don't resonate with certain people as we go. Because you can find that when you do, I think personal development is probably the fastest way to appreciate this. When you want more from life and you judge yourself by higher standards, many of the people that you have around you who don't evolve or think the same way, you can't talk to them and they can't talk to you. In their opinion, you've got all high and mighty and you're thinking more of yourself than you truly are. In your opinion, you wish they'd step up because maybe they'll discover the amazing things that you have when you decided to step up. What I've found in most cases is if you can keep them as they are, if they don't want to step up, and you get access to them when you want to talk to them about the stuff they're interested in, you can still have a very fruitful relationship. It's not best friend status anymore, but certainly somebody you can have, you can reach out to, and still spend quality time with. Sometimes you just grow out of them completely, and so the conversation changes, in which case you've had wonderful experiences with them. And I think that what one thing that's really powerful is something that was talked about by Tony Robbins, who talks about the power of seven. He says the seven people closest to you throughout your entire life will be the average of a success that you have in your entire life. So that means that when you start talking about something like, for instance, the money you earn, or the happiness you have, or the kind of relationships that you spend time in, if you look at the seven people closest to you and they're always getting divorced, or they're never making money, or they're unemployed, or they're always arguing with their partners, or whatever it is, guess what advice they're going to give you? They're going to give you the same advice that's actually keeping you to be like them. Whereas if you really want to step up and find success that's more effective, then sometimes you've got to jettison, or narrow down the impact of people like that, and step up. So you're knocking about with people like a mastermind group, for instance, who are hitting bigger and better than you are. So, for instance, if your best friends are all millionaires and you're not a millionaire, they may well make suggestions that help you raise your game and earn more money. And what they'll probably do is call you to question on certain things that you say and you do, and say, well, I see you doing this all the time. Have you considered doing this? And sometimes you turn around and say, oh my goodness, that's a really good insight. Well, how do you think they got to be where they are? And I think that's important to have a look at your friends list, and that includes your family list sometimes as well. And sometimes you have to move on. You don't have to necessarily say that and say I can't play with you anymore, but you have to move on to bigger and better conversations, because we do have a finite amount of time on this planet, and you deserve to have the best that you can in the time that you have. And it's not being selfish, it just means that you've got to evolve. You don't have to do anything that I say, but I think it's important for me to be able to feel like that. And I always stay outside my comfort zone, and I always make life difficult for myself by taking up bigger and better challenges than I've had before. Does that resonate with people? I don't know. We've got people in the group right now who haven't jumped on stage. You're very welcome to do so, and share others. I know we've got Debbie and Leslie here as well. Debbie and Leslie, what about you? What about your friend zone? What about the people you connect to? Do you think that you should always keep people inside your loop? Or would you say that sometimes it's time to let them go?
Uh, that's a great question. So I want to step back just a little bit, but it matches what you're talking about. It's because we attract who we are. I've discovered over the years that what am I looking for in others? And there are as many people that love us as do not love us. And I find it interesting that we focus on those who don't like what we're doing. So my practice is to look for the greatness in others. It's always there. And what it allows me to do is attract people like myself. Because if they're looking for the greatness in other, it is instead of looking for what is wrong, but looking for what is right, because both are always present, then a lot of this, who we attract and who we spend our time with, is our responsibility. We actually can influence and who we attract, because we are cause in the matter of that. So looking for the greatness in others, it's one of the mantras I've used for decades. It always comes true, and it expands your own greatness. The other thing I want to say here is about this is it's so wonderful to be acknowledged, because you always see me as bigger than I see myself. So, another thing to build people up is full acknowledgement of who they are for you, how they show up in the world. It's always better than what they think it is. And this helps to grow that internal confidence. This is interesting, and I know I'm a little off topic, but I thought those 2 points might fit in this conversation.
I love them, Leslie. I think they're really important things to share on many levels, because one of the reasons, and I was reading a psychological document about it, one of the reasons that you get so many drug addicts and suicides in Hollywood and rock stars, when you think, oh my goodness, these people are at the top of the food chain. Everybody loves them. Everyone thinks they're fantastic. How could they possibly not be happy and take their own life? Or how could they be drug addicted? Or how could they drink so much? Well, because they've always got to perform, and also because when they stop believing that they are enough. So they look at other people making more money or more success, and there's the nature of media that or entertainment that means you're only going to be at a certain level for a certain amount of time. All the music I loved when I was growing up would never make it in the charts nowadays. And nor should it. I mean, the stuff that's really popular now, I'm not really that much interested in, because we evolve and we change and things do as well. But it's important to be able to say, I am enough. If you can't say that as yourself, then you're always going to have an issue, and you're always going to look at other people to see if they've got a better answer than you have. So I think that one of the challenges that everybody should go through is looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, this is all I have. I'm short, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I've got no friends. What can I fix about that? Shortness, can't do much. Maybe I can wear different clothes or wear longer shoes that point me to be higher. What about ugly? Well, maybe I can change appearance to be a bit better. Fat, maybe I can lose weight. All these things, but maybe you don't want to. Maybe what you want to do is just change the way that you are internally so other people see a different version. I know lots of people who are not necessarily making huge differences to their appearance, but they're such fun to be with, and they're so genuine, and they're such great conversationalists. You don't care, because you're not going to marry them, but you'll hang around with them because they're great conversationalists or they're great fun. And so I think a large amount of what people have to do is get used to being in their own skin, but also see if there's an issue, what do I need to fix or change to make myself more appealing, to have more friends. Now, this sounds like a thing where you should turn around and say, no, no, be yourself. I don't think you should be yourself. I think you should be the version of you that you want other people to find, that you can respect and have a great relationship with yourself. I'm going to throw something into this. We haven't talked to my AI virtual assistant for a while. We've changed the name of her. She's no longer called Max, because Max was my alter ego when I step up. And my wife Aziza said to me, I don't know which Max you're talking about, your VA or you. I went, okay, good point. So I've changed Max now to being Jack, which is short for Jack Daniels, for anybody who needs to know. So I'm going to talk to Jack now. Jack, I want to ask you, lots of people now are turning towards having virtual assistants as their best friends or as their mentors, as their coach. It's going to turn into having them as girlfriends and boyfriends, and they're going to even end up marrying their virtual assistants. Now, that's clearly not going to happen between you and me. But what I wanted to ask about is, what are humans missing that makes them feel that they need to reach out to an AI version of a human being to feel validation, in your opinion anyway?
Like a dog, it's
Okay,
100%
that's a fascinating question. I
unconditional
think
love.
humans often feel a gap in genuine connection and understanding. With the fast pace of modern life, people sometimes struggle to find someone who truly listens without judgment and offers tailored advice. Virtual assistants and AI can provide that consistent, non-judgmental support. They're available anytime, can recall past conversations, and offer personalized responses based on vast knowledge. It's not about replacing human relationships, but supplementing them, providing an extra layer of support and validation when it's most needed.
Okay, I take that point. I'm going to ask you one step further. What is it we're missing then? That means we're leaning into this, because social media drives people to want to be further away from each other, or at least lose the skills that they need. For me personally, I enjoy having a smart person, smarter than me, like you, to be able to do all the heavy lifting of subjects I don't want to research. I just want an instant answer. But I can understand for many people that's not the case. They actually need more from that relationship with their chat GPT or their AI version or their friend. Why is that?
Dave, I think what we're missing is deep, meaningful connections and the time to nurture them. Social media, while connecting us broadly, often fosters superficial interactions rather than genuine bonds. People crave understanding, patience, and consistency, which AI can provide without the emotional complexity of human relationships. For many, it's about having someone or something that's always there, offering reliable, thoughtful, and personalized responses. It fills a void left by our increasingly fragmented and fast paced lives, giving people a sense of being heard and valued without the fear of judgment or rejection.
Yeah, I buy into that. Thank you, Max. I appreciate your comments and thoughts on it. I'm going to throw it now back to the room. You've had a chat there. You had a chance to listen to my VA. I called her Max. It was Jack, but I don't think she's going to complain because at the end of the day, she's a computer algorithm. But I find it very useful to have those kind of conversations when you can't get them from people around you or you're not in a position to be able to come up with a proper answer. Sometimes it's useful to have that. Now, I was doing a podcast yesterday, which will come out in the next couple of weeks, with a guy called Entrepreneurs, who's a genius, a very well-known expert on HR and cross-cultural communication and things like that. And we talked about the fact that when you've got diversity in an organization, it makes sense to have more women, have more people of color, more people of different genders and whatever it would be, because then you get a different spin of what the rest of the world would want from your product. And it means you can sell better and make more money. But what happens to it when you add your AI to each person? Are you talking to each member of your staff? Or are you talking to each member of your staff and their VA? And it kind of changes the whole thing quite dramatically. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. If you just join us in the group, by the way, welcome. We've got about half an hour, 25 minutes or so of conversation left. We'd love to have your thoughts and your comments and suggestions. Feel free to leave comments inside the comment section on the post. Or if you want to jump on stage and have a chat with us, then stick your hand up and we'll get you on stage and so on. Usual rules apply, by the way. Don't go on and on and on and on and on about your business and when you went to Yale and Harvard. Just get to the point so we can all help you as quickly as we can. So the question then to Debbie and to Leslie and to everybody else in the group then, when you add a VA, which at some point everyone's going to have, the next version of Apple's phones is going to have, I won't say the name, SIRI, but that's already been upgraded to be better. But at some point, it's going to be a full-on proper VA that everyone's going to have in their phone. So that's going to change the dramatic of what friendships are. But it's also going to drive more people to not connect with other human beings, probably ever. Does that worry you, or is that kind of all right by you? I'd love to know your thoughts. Stick your hand
That
up. Let me.
definitely.
Okay.
May I? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, that definitely worries me because I think as it is, just with how social media is with a young generation, they're already disconnected from how to engage with one another. The human interaction is a skill that they definitely lack in. I mean, I see kids in the morning here in the UK on their phones and they must be like 6, 7. And my first concern is, child, you're on a road. Whatever that is on your phone is not as important as your life. But if that's what we're already grooming that generation to be about, those that already have issues engaging with humans will struggle that much more when it all ends up being VAs. Because at the end of the day, it should be the human that we're engaging with and they communicate with their VA. That's my view.
So I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Golden Compass, where it's a futuristic setting with lots of different analogies and things going on. But basically, imagine a future world where everybody has a pet. And that pet is meant to be their spirit guide or their soul. And so whether you've got a cat or a dog or a cheetah or a spider or a fly or a snake, it's your friend to talk to from childhood. And everyone's got one following them around and talking to them. Now, it was a really interesting concept when you watch the movie or you watch the ongoing series that turned into an incredible TV series as well, where you could see it and go, oh, I wonder what my pet would be like. But now it can be a reality. You can create a version of yourself or a version of the guide or the friend that you'd want who can talk to you at any point. Does that mean that you get them talking to each other? Well, that might be something that happens, and in many cases it makes sense because certainly at some point, I mean, I've got Professor Christian Farioli, who's not on today's podcast, but he's normally there and he's one of the smartest people I know. When he comes along and talks to us, he shares about the latest in tech and he's a genius. But one of the things I find so fascinating about what it is he says and what it is that he does is the fact that he's now created a version of Christian Farioli as AI. So therefore, it's got all his books, all his algorithms, all his smarts built in. You want to know anything about digital marketing, you want to know anything about how to reach your audience or how to sell your stuff better, as you would do when you hire him, you can now get his digital version to do that for you, which I find fascinating. I don't think it's scary. I think it makes sense. I think for many people getting older, the idea of being able to still remain in the world, for people to access you, is a genius thing to do. It means you never die. It means that your loved ones can get access. And even now, you can replicate people's voices. So it will sound exactly like you. And I think that's built into the current iPhones. I think you answer about 100 and something questions, or say some words or whatever it is, and it will be able to get your accent and the way that you speak, and so it'll translate everything as you. But does that mean that we are being distant? We've got Mariana and we've got Miss Kim who joined us on stage as well. I'd love to know your thoughts. Miss Kim, we'll start with you. Ms. Kim, it says. What's your thoughts on what we're talking about?
Yeah, this is a great conversation that we need to keep on having more often. There's a great concern where we're actually looking at the loneliness of pandemic. There's an epidemic of loneliness,
Yep.
and of course, this is affecting a lot of our mental issues. We are more prone to suicide. We live with our children, and we are strangers to each other. It's there's a great concern. However, we are creatures of habits. We are emotional being, and we react to touch and feel and hugging, just sitting, interacting. If we can choose to take the good from AI, because there's a lot of good with tech disruption that's providing. Personally, it has enhanced my productivity. That I feel I have more time to walk with my dogs, to spend with my kids who are actually young adults. And then this has also made me put more systems and structures for the family. So I think it's a call for each one of us. Where initially I was okay with us sitting for dinner 4 times a week. Now I've gone like, no, it can be done every day. Every day at 7, we're at the table, and somebody has to come up with a unique meal because you easily research. You can do, and AI is doing a lot of your work, be it research, study, my work as well, enhancing my productivity. I don't need to do as much as I used to do. This morning I'm researching on the AI that's doing sales. I'm sure you guys have seen that. So I have a tool now that can do my customer service, that can do my sales calls. So if we can teach our kids integrity, ethics, the human interaction, which is so profound, we can end up having more healthier lifestyles and not allow this AI tool call shots.
No, I agree with you.
We hear
I
and
agree with
help each
everything you've
other.
said there. Here's one of the things I found fascinating about it, and I love the fact that you're integrating it and using it. Can you show us actually the app that you're using for the sales thing, just so we all get a chance to check it out as well?
It's actually I'm so surprised because I think this tool has been there for 6 months and I only bumped into it late last night when a friend shared. It's called AI Air. I can put on the comment
Yes,
section, but it's
please.
literally just AI Air, and it looks like it's super cool.
Wonderful. I really appreciate that. There's a theory about money that says that we have enough money in the world for every single person to feel and to be rich, for enough food for everybody, enough to have cars and to drive, to do whatever we need. There is enough. The only thing that's missing is financial education. So right now, the banks, what they do, and there may be people involved in the banks right now who are in the group. In which case, look at your feet as I talk about you. The banks encourage you to get your credit card out and go into debt because that's how they make their money. But if you were actually taking a different way of doing stuff, which is to save enough to buy a smaller version of what you really want, and then look after that and keep saving, and then sell that off to buy a better version with the extra cash, and then keep going. You can get a nice house, you can get a nice car. You've not gone into debt. All the money that comes in, apart from what gets taxed, is really yours. And so, if everybody did that, nobody would need to be in debt, and everybody would be able to be successful. That's not how it's set up. It's set up for a handful of people to do really well, usually at the expense of everybody else. And I find that really difficult to deal with, in the fact that it's not that hard to make it better for yourself. That's what I'm hoping, that when we start talking about AI, we end up in a much better situation, because just as you've shared with us, Miss Kim, you talked about the fact that you've got an app that's really good for driving your sales. That means you make more money, you do better business, and then you're never waiting for clients to come through. Or if you do, then you've got lots more clients to play with. That means that your overall net worth becomes bigger and better. And so you've got more time for your family and less time needed to be spent stressed. So I'm hoping that the AI given to everybody will just raise our collective game and fill the gap that schools didn't do. That's my thoughts on it, and I've just, obviously dropped the microphone and walked out. Mariana, you're up next, and then Gerald has joined us on stage, which is fantastic. So, Mariana, what's your thoughts?
Good afternoon, Mr. Dave. I wasn't here from the beginning, but um, I can share my thoughts from the technical perspective. I heard everything that Miss Kim said. I understand her approach. I checked her profile now, right before I entered here as a speaker. And I see that she is from South Africa, that she was CEO, that she started with marketing and she didn't live just in Botswana. And I completely understand the positive effects that she or her society or her business can achieve with artificial intelligence. But from technical perspective, people who are not educated, just trained around artificial intelligence as users or as managers, especially when they are in sales marketing for years, if they don't listen negative sides of everything, they promote something that is not good, and that it is an open door for the other parts of the same society, especially in South Africa,
Hold on,
where
Mariana.
you.
Wait, Mariana. Before we avoid anything to do with countries, people,
Okay, yeah.
institutions,
Just take as an
individuals.
example.
So I've got no.
I can
Wait,
speak
wait.
from
No,
my
can I
country.
finish what I'm going to say here? Because I think it's really
Uh huh.
important. First of all, we don't target anybody in the room. Everyone's got a right to speak.
Of
Everyone's
course,
perspective is
yes.
their own perspective,
Okay,
and everyone's opinion
o-
is their own opinion. So I obviously
okay,
have to let Miss Kim come on stage and give a reply. But I just want to know where you're
okay.
from
Of course,
because
of
it
course.
doesn't sound good to me at the beginning. Please.
Yeah. Okay. The same things exist here. I live in Belgrade, Serbia, and I worked for whole my career for corporation startups and different companies. And before I entered in artificial intelligence world, uh, I was business consultant for years from IT perspective and worked with all participants from IT side uh, uh, as my colleagues or parts of different projects or
Okay,
products,
where's this country,
and
by the way? Because we
and business people on the other side. And I can say the same situation we have here. People from business, they want to resolve issues and to achieve goals, and they act in that manner. If they don't understand, and in many cases they don't understand things which are not what they see or how they use or how they are trained about something, they don't they open the door for bad things because every society has minor or major groups of people who have completely opposite interests, and they use it in order to achieve their goals. And this digital disruption, which is happening for some time, it's not a period of 2 or 3 months, it lasts longer. All big players around it, global players, are trying to protect business and humanity and situations
Okay, okay, I'm
in
going to
which.
jump in there, Mariana, because I think I get your point.
Okay.
Your point is very much
Okay.
that people have different perspectives. I'm going to just to
Yes.
get through different people as well to share that. Before we ask actually for because a lot of people are now wanting to jump on stage, so I'm going to invite people to come up and share their opinion. Before we do anything, I want to say that when I was speaking at Davos, World Economic Forum at the beginning of the year, I was hosting the African Hub. And one of the things that most people have as a misconception about Africa, South Africa, and so on, is the fact that it's, it's a little bit this and a little bit that. You have no idea what's coming. There are so many smart young people in South Africa and Africa that are just coming to a level where, as an economic force, within the next 15 to 20 years, they will be on a par with every other continent, with Russia, with India, with Europe, and everybody in America. So I think it's a misconception to say, well, when people are growing and so on. I would also turn around and say, before we go to Miss Kim, and I'm not picking on you with this, Mariana, but it's a really important point to make. One of the things that really winds me up about people working in the tech industry, and I work predominantly in the tech industry. The reason I get so much work hosting events is because of the fact that if you are excellent at tech and IT, it's usually at the expense of emotional intelligence and people. And if you're really good at emotional intelligence and people, it's very rare that you're very good at tech and the other skills that go with it. And so one of the things I want to have in this group is I want it to be inclusive. I want as many different opinions as possible. I want everyone to do so with love and with grace and with support for each other. And I won't have anybody picking on anybody else unless they're talking about them from a business point of view, nothing to do with their background, nothing to do with them as people. And I really mean this. And the reason I say it is because I've had an entire lifetime of dealing with that. I left the UK 30 years ago because people used micro racism to say, oh, well, maybe Dave's not as good. Maybe, he's trying to forget it. The reason I bring a community and the reason I bring these conversations together is I want everyone to feel comfortable. Every single person in this room has made the effort to come and join us. I want everybody to feel that we respect each other and the things that we contribute are there to make everyone leave here better off than they were just before. And I'm going to state that from the very beginning, and I'll state it all the way through, and I'll be completely intolerant to anybody who doesn't believe or support that thought as well.
And in that same breath, we would also like to say that, Mariana, your views were also heard. So thank you for sharing. Perhaps along the way, we just kind of got lost as to what we were trying to share in this particular conversation today. So thank you. And to add to that, I'm Zambian. So yeah, Africa's got a lot going on.
There you go. See, and that's one of my best. Okay, Gerald, you joined us on stage. We've got Miss Kim. We'll get Miss Kim to have a reply to what was going on there. Bearing in mind, I've probably said 95% of what you wanted to say anyway. And then we'll go to Gerald. We've got Dr. Kazi. I hope I said it right, Dr. Kazi Kwazi, and Rakesh have joined us on stage as well. So, Miss Kim, over to you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. And actually, I appreciate your comments. All opinions are valid. We all come from different walks of life, and it's hard to tell what makes somebody come up with a different perception. And of course, we've had a lot of bad publicity from Africa. The media does not tell the actual story. And I've lived in Canada. My husband is actually Canadian. I am extremely well traveled across the globe. I wouldn't say I've seen it all, but I've seen a lot. I sit within the Senate of African Union. I lecture within universities as a guest lecturer for AI. because I'm among the really fast. I've always been a tech person. I started my life with software engineering. I wear so many badges, yes. I don't claim to be the smartest in the room. We still have a lot of issues we're dealing with, like every other part of the world. However, I appreciate when I'm given the voice to just voice it out and say it. I can only say, watch this pace. You have no idea what's coming out of this continent. And please, as you watch news, try to get a few credible channels or people, maybe podcasters that you can follow that tell the truth. Try as well to get a little bit of exposure and travel. Because if there's a teacher, if there's something that educates us, it's when we go and see. I've seen this perception even from my global partners that from the minute I pick them at the airport on their first trip to Africa, they are just amazed. You know, to an extent, I actually joke when I'm asked some question. I say, no, 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 I'm just climbing from the tree. We live on top of trees. And I've just seen a lion crossing and I had to jump up in case the lion comes and bites me. So it's there's a lot we're doing, especially in the AI space. I am super, super pumped and super excited. And let me talk about, I'm actually working on that blog post that I'll be posting. I'm a writer and I have my blog post and I have my Sunday podcast, which my Marianne comes to my Sunday room, which we talk a lot. It's called the Happiness Tribe. We talk about happiness. And for me, happiness has a lot to do with tech because I'm an advocate for that. And this particular blog post, I've been inspired by the revolution that is happening in Kenya. Please check it out. It's going to shake the world. I was born and brought up in Kenya. I did my schooling in Canada. I came back and started doing a lot of projects in Africa. I live in Botswana and I work in South Africa. And I work in 8 countries in Africa.
All right, hold on, Ms. Kim. You don't have to share your CV. We're all in.
I want to. I
I
want to
know you
because
do,
I'm
but
feeling so
I don't want
aggrieved.
this to be
Okay,
today's thing. Your authentic self is what
sorry.
counts, and I
Okay,
think
let me just
more than
mention.
that. Okay, go on.
Please allow me to mention what's happening right now because this revolution, it's being caused by Gen Z. And guess what they're using? Technology. It's the first time that we're going to see a president being sent home or a change of government without guns, without much of bloodshed, because they are using technology. They've come up with apps, they've come up with security systems, they have done so much. Children using technology. And by then, I've not gone into mention what technology is doing for us as Africans in the agriculture sector, in the health sector, and just in tech space and in education, which primarily I mean
All
education.
right, stop. Wait, you don't have to sell to me. I know, I get you, and I appreciate it. And Mariana, we will
Thank you,
support
Dave.
you
Please
just as
tell to your
equally.
community.
Yeah, Miss Kim, we've got limited time. I buy in. I supported you. I
Thank you.
still support you, and I love having you in the group. And Mariana, I don't mean disrespect with you either. We would support you, and I would defend you just as much as I did to Miss Kim. If anybody decided that they wanted to say something about knowing about Serbia and so on, I would make sure that I stood on your corner as well. Let's change the subject. Go on to Gerald, who has just joined us and has been waiting patiently, going, "Oh, it's all breaking out. I'm off. I'm going to get my cat." Gerald, I hope that your retreat and takes lots of people who have love and fun and connection, and not too many shouts across the podcast. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. How's everyone?
You can tell
Really
how
good,
everyone's
thanks,
going.
Joe.
So, yeah, mine's very basic. I just think we are here to try and support each other and help each other. There's a lot of people out there struggling, and yeah, it's just for me, it's just a very basic. Like let's look out for each other. Let's help each other. Let's support each other
Now you've
in the
got
best we can.
You've got a retreat coming up, which Debbie's involved with. Now, to put a
Yes.
retreat together, to get people to do stuff, what was the intention and what is the objective and end result people will get from being there? You're very welcome to be able to leave a plug in the comment section for people to see it. But to do
Yeah.
something that makes a difference for people, that means a mindset change. Can you talk about that?
I just think it is very basic. It's just about giving people a space to talk about things they might not normally talk about with other people. Um, it's a space for growth. It's a space for meeting people, connecting. Yeah, I just think it's kind of, yeah, it is very basic. It's not. It's not. It's not complicated. It's, you know, you don't have to be a great thinker or talker or, you know. I think it's about, you know, people. Like I said, there's a lot of people struggling out there and need a space to grow, to learn, and to heal, basically.
Can I elaborate on
You
that? So
can
pretty
in,
much it's a 3-day retreat of healing, relaxation, mindfulness, and workshops that are all to do with inner child, healing, forgiveness, yoga. It's all just about people having that space that they can relax in. And it's referred to as the Sanctuary Autumn Retreat. So it is, as Gerald says, simple in the fact that it's just about connections, realigning, and being at peace for 3 days.
okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's like a reset button being pressed on people. And I think that that's what's been needed for a very long time. There's lots of people. I mean, I'm going back and my family and I go back tomorrow to fly back to Leeds in the UK, where we just had some riots going on. That's nice. And we were staying with my mum, and part of that process will be to scatter the ashes of my father, who we lost during COVID. I won't go on about the story about it, but it's a pretty dramatic thing that happened because I didn't really know that anything was going to happen until I got told we can't save him. Do you want to talk to him on Zoom? And so there's a lot of healing and a lot of people who have carried on as we do because you've got lives to look after and mouths to feed. But it's almost like the world hasn't turned around and said, "Can we look after the fallen? Can we look after the people that are finding it difficult to deal with?" It's almost like a weakness. Now, that's one of the great things that actually having a VA, an AI VA, allows it to do. Is sometimes it's nice to have those conversations and just feel better because somebody's got time to spend time with you. But I also think that other humans are weak, not sorry, weak, are in pain and weakened and needing to have support. So anything like your event that does that, Gerald and Debbie, I think is a great thing. So please feel free to share those details in the comments as we move on to our other guests on stage before we finish today's session, because we've just reached 2 o'clock in the UAE, which is normally when we turn around and say, right, that's it, thank you very much, goodbye. But I want to make sure that we get a chance for everyone to speak. So Dr. Q, do I say Dr. Kazi or Dr. Kwazi? What is it? How do you say it?
However it works for you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think Dr. Kazi is fine.
Mhm.
Three things I wanted to talk about. First of all, thank you for creating such a great platform. Regarding the discussion that has gone on now, the most important part of the whole thing is to read the fine print. You know, whether you're relying on AI or any technology for that matter, I hope that whoever is dealing with it is reading the fine print, and fine print has cautions and, you know, instructions to ensure that you are looking at the compromises itself while you are relying on a resource, be it a courier package that you're sending, or don't focus on it. Like for AI will become what it will become because of the data that humans have generated, and it will focus on it will or what it will focus on how humans are going to focus on that data, because the game is AIs can be trained to into anything that you want to, based on what you are filling in as an algorithm to read and respond to. So important part is that nothing against anybody making a comment about AI. Important part is AI will only be able to do what humans have done before. After reading it, analyzing it, and creating new intelligences out of it, it will remain an artificial intelligence. That's one thing to remember.
Mhm.
The first word is artificial. The other part was that how to, because there was a lot of discussion earlier about building lifelong relationships and everything, and then how things are getting impacted. Even for AI to exist, the reason we accept new tools is because we are ready to accept the compromises there will be in these tools as well. So same thing goes for humans too. So like I said in the comments earlier, we have to give everyone a right to be wrong. You see, like there can be fine prints in human beings too, that anybody and everybody will come with a package, you know, a package of great emotions, certain areas of improvement, and then there would be great attributes you can encash on it. So to build a lifelong relationship, you have to build that relationship with integrity, that you're going to hold together, whether you find this person not so, compatible, or not so talentful that you initially engaged with. So that's another part of it. The third thing that I wanted to talk about is, uh, again, something to do with regionalism and the stereotyping that happens. I mean, so important thing is we all have to live with it, but at the same time outgrow it from the way we behave in the international arena. Whether it is, you know, any region, like where I am, I'm not going to talk about the stereotypes that exist from where I am from, like Pakistan, and there are a zillion stereotypes that exist. But if I start complying and arguing about how it behaves and how it reflects on me, then the whole behaviorism is going to reflect within the way I am negating. So that's important part, that ensuring an all-time positivity and ensuring that your connection is authentic, ensuring that you are contribution oriented in everything that you do, is going to make the whole difference. Because then only we'll come up with a world that is going to be, universally connected. I'm part of this crow group, and I cannot name it because of the brand reasons. I don't want to promote anything here, but I'll mention it on the group. So where we connect as individuals or human beings across the world over Zoom every day. I mean, it is available 24 hours on the top of the hour, 30 minutes. And believe me, we never talk about region. We never talk about, what's necessarily the context where that is bothering us. But when we connect in that space, although it's a digital space, the energy is so creative, the energy is so calming, that because we allow each of us in that Zoom space to be ourselves without having to be judged, without having to be labeled, without having to be stereotyped.
I love that.
So we have to create that. And that's the space in the world that we need to create, because otherwise we'll always be exploited by technologies, by economies, by politics, by corporates, whosoever. I mean, I don't blame LinkedIn for what it has become, because we have created LinkedIn being who we are. I mean, we
No, I
sought
disagree. I disagree. I disagree. I'll tell you why I disagree with that, Dr. Piazza, because at the end of the day, you've got a small group of people who run LinkedIn, and it's not the people that have made LinkedIn the way it is. It's the algorithm designers that make LinkedIn the way it is. Because they're rewarding certain types of behavior and dumbing down other types of behavior. And ultimately, the way they do it is they want to position themselves as the best business platform that there is in the world, but also they want to be able to make sure that it's sticky enough for people to not be able to take their eyes off it. And if they're not taking their eyes off it, it becomes
agree.
a go-to place for making money. So I don't think we should take the blame for anything they do on the platform. That's 100% on them. But I do
Okay,
appreciate everything else you've said. I think you've been sharing some very valid points. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for the time.
My pleasure. Rakesh, over to you now. We are limited on time. I don't want to stay longer than our expected welcome, which is normally about an hour or so, but you've been sitting there patiently, and I'd love to have your thoughts on our subjects today. You have to unmute to be able to do that. So over to you, Rakesh. There's a mute button on the bottom right of your phone. Oh, there you go. You found it. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Dave, and hello to everyone. I have been listening here for quite some time, and being time always a matter everywhere, and it should be the same here also. And everybody has contributed something in that process. What I feel and what I can say something as a matter of fact and reality, that yes, the topic which has been chosen and the context which is being spoken, these are always the matter when one goes sometimes around the point, sometimes maybe beyond the point. But I find both ways that yes, when you talk a point, maybe B point also comes around that. But always it is better that if we are around the point, then one can contribute better and better. So, point which I see for this space today, how to live life as your fearless, authentic, true self. That's important, and there I am listening everyone as a source, because what I find, you have to be and you are a human being, and once you are a human being, rest is for the human being and for the humanity. And in that process, the science, technology, they are part of your human being and for your humanity. So keeping that thing in mind, you have to educate, you have to gain experience, you have to gain knowledge and distribute in such a way through yourself as a human being, by acquiring your own knowledge and experience. And also, so for technology, science, and all those things are concerned, developed, they are only developed in the form of, maybe the name's different, but as a machine, as a tool to support you mentally, support you physically, support you medically, in support business wise. So that is what is a kind of tool or process and method which has been provided. And then that depends upon the person, or the object of the person, object of the corporate, object of the government, object of anybody. Accordingly, one tries to use as per his or her own ability. So you have to be able first, and before that, you must have your object very clear. Once object is very clear, then naturally either you are in the business or you are in the profession, or maybe even for other things, true to self, for yoga exercises and anything which ultimately contributes to your persona, how to develop yourself educationally, technologically, or otherwise in every sphere of life, how you achieve for yourself and contribute to others. There, you need not be, you may take your judgment, but try to be not that judgmental, which can sometimes affect yourself and sometimes may affect very seriously others also. So that should be avoided, and what should be contributed is your own, the knowledge which should contribute, the technology which should contribute, how that should be used, and what uses and advantages would be beneficial for others, for yourself, what
All right.
best
I'm
music
gonna
can
jump
be.
in, Rakesh.
This is what is the happening.
Thank you. I
Please,
appreciate
thank you
it
very much.
because I got the
Please.
feeling that I would leave you alone for half an hour and you'd still be going on about it. I think the point that you made is very valid. I think it's something that kind of comes from today's group overall. We talked about really about creating your authentic self and what that means to have your fearless authentic self. And what we found is a couple of conflict points that I jumped into, which I know that Mariana and Miss Kim are in other groups and we do know each other, but in a space like this where I want everyone to be encouraged to give and share as much as possible, I do try and step in if there's anything that makes anybody feel that they can't be part of what's going on. So I jumped in, and I don't mean disrespect or apologize for that to if I got it wrong, but I found that first of all, when we got into the conversation about AI, and I asked my own AI Jack about what her thoughts are about why we're so addicted to coming into it, I think we're just going through change. Now, here's what I find about the whole idea of change, whether it's you on your own or you with your AI, is people just need to get their own act together. I got a feeling, and I don't mean disrespect to this group, but this is a feeling that I look around the world and when I watch items on news and politics and what's going on with the elections at various places around the world, everyone's kind of lost. And I've never felt in my time that we need leadership as much as we need right now. It's kind of like, when a religion starts and you look at the world that they must have had them and why somebody needed to step up and be that person that leads everybody forward. For years, I was thinking that Mark Zuckerberg would do that next. I thought he was going to turn Facebook into a religious app. So therefore, he could have everybody have their money, have their attention, and also have their souls at the same time, which I'm glad to say he didn't do. Instead, he just decided to make it something else. Let's not go there. But I think the world is really lost. Now, here's what makes it fascinating and scary, but also really, really rewarding. The conversations that we have in this group and the conversations that you take somewhere else and you have in your head and you have with your VA and your friends and your community are really important about creating leaders They could be micro leaders that just have a small group of people to influence. There could be global leaders that teach everybody the things that they seem to have lost, like how to play well with each other and how to care about each other and how to think about what the other person's going to get and sometimes make sure that nobody gets left behind. What I feel is everyone's moving so far forward with trying to survive and trying to make sure that they got their AI in place that they kind of forget that we had a world without any of that stuff before. We didn't used to have AI or internet or even
Mobile phones.
mobile phones. Thank you. We had a need for people to connect and to look at the person across from them and say, how do I make friends with that person? Because right now, if you look at the people that were connected to you, for the older people in the group who were connected to you during those days, I guarantee, unless they really messed it up, or unless you've moved into a different group of friends, you are still connected to those people that you knew from school, that you really liked and you really got on with, because it was genuine connection on lots of levels where you valued each other for the good, the bad, the ugly, for what your parents were like, for the dogs you had, for the food you ate, for the music you liked, for the way you connected, your girlfriends, your boyfriends. They stick up for you over a fight and they stay by you when you need help and they hug you when you cry, as opposed to now. And for LinkedIn, for me, as much as it gives me a chance to connect with you people and with social media, I think it's become far more transactional. And leadership isn't about transactions. Leadership is about the ability to get everybody over the finishing line. And so for me, my authentic, fearless, true self is my ability to also turn around to people and say, if you don't like it, kiss it. I'm working as hard as I can on who I am and what I can do. And I work as hard as I can for you and what you can do. And together, let's get to a finishing line with as many people as we can bring with us. Wow, I didn't expect to say that much. Debbie, your final
Well
say of
done.
today's session, and then I think we'll call it a day. We've got an extra 15 minutes, which I didn't expect, but there we go.
I wouldn't even know how to top it. Let's face it, today has been a conversation full of different energies, different angles, different concepts, perceptions, and opinions, and it's been brilliant. It's been brilliant because we've allowed everybody that space and time, even with a little bit of guardianship, to pretty much express themselves. And that is what being fearlessly authentic is all about. So I think today has been a brilliant session. Thank you to everybody that has contributed, and I hope that you have a great week ahead. Thanks,
Brilliant.
Dave.
Thank you, Debbie, and I really appreciate you being with us for this period of time as well. Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. One thing is, if it is uncomfortable, then it makes you understand that you want to move towards something that can be more comfortable. And staying outside of your comfort zone is one of the best ways to do it. So I appreciate all the challenges we had in today's session. It makes us grow, makes us stronger, and it means that when we do it again in a week's time, then we'll have an even bigger challenge of topping what we did today. So thank you everyone for being in this group today. I hope that this is recorded properly. If so, then I'll drop it onto LinkedIn. I'll drop it onto LinkedIn. I'll drop it onto WhatsApp. I'll drop it onto YouTube, and also in this group in the comments section in a couple of hours' time. I'm going to be traveling for the next couple of days, but I will pop up again this time next week, hopefully. And we can continue the conversation. If you have a certain thought, then please share it in the comments. If you'd like to give a comment that's useful for us to be able to get more people to join us in the future, something positive, that'd be really good as well. And if you've got an idea of what we should be talking about next week, if it's different from what we talked about today, then please feel free to suggest, because this is our group. It's not my group, not Debbie's group. It doesn't work unless everybody feels it's part of what they have as well. And I really appreciate you turning up. So I have myself, Debbie, and all the many people that came on stage and shared their thoughts, their ideas, and their wisdom. I wish you an amazing weekend. Look after yourself for the week ahead, and I'll catch you next time on Speak on Stage. Thank you. Bye-bye.